That's my stuff. I didn't even realize I said it out loud at first. I had just pulled into the driveway. Same cracked concrete, same crooked mailbox, but something felt off. Not different, not unfamiliar. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Wrong. Boxes everywhere. Not stacked neatly, not organized, just scattered. Across the lawn, along the walkway. Half open, some tipped over like they'd been dropped in a hurry. And then it hit me. Those weren't just boxes. They were mine. Clothes spilling out, a pair of shoes I hadn't seen in months. A photo frame, face down in the grass, the glass shattered. I could already guess which picture it was. I didn't turn off the engine. I just sat there, staring. You ever have one of those moments where your brain refuses to catch up with your eyes? Like reality shows up first and your mind is just lagging behind? Yeah, that. My hands were still on the steering wheel, tight, too tight, and then I saw her, my mom, standing in the doorway, not rushing, not confused, not apologizing, waiting, like she'd been expecting me at this exact moment. The engine was still running when I opened the door. I don't even remember unbuckling my seatbelt. My body just moved, step by step, closer to the house, closer to the boxes, closer to her. Each step felt heavier than it should have, like something was pulling me backward, telling me not to keep going. But I did. Of course I did, because that was my house, wasn't it? I stopped just short of the walkway, close enough to see the labels on the boxes. My mom's handwriting, sharp, clean, controlled. Lila, Misk? Misk? I almost laughed. Almost. I bent down slowly, picking up the nearest box. The cardboard was soft on one side, like it had been sitting in damp grass too long. Inside, my notebooks, old journals, random things I'd left in drawers, not packed carefully, dumped. Like someone clearing out space, not someone helping you move, someone erasing you. That's when I looked up again. Really looked at her. Diane Moreno. 49. Always composed, always measured. But something about her face right now, it wasn't anger, it wasn't guilt either. It was final. And that scared me more than anything. I took a step forward. She didn't move. Another step. Now we were just a few feet apart. I'm close enough that I could see the tension in her jaw. Close enough that she couldn't pretend this wasn't happening. Mom? My voice sounded smaller than I expected, like it didn't belong to me. She didn't answer right away. Of course she didn't. She never rushed anything. And then, finally, calm, flat, controlled. You don't live here anymore. Just like that. No buildup, no explanation, no emotion. If you heard that, standing in your own driveway, staring at your life in boxes, what would you even say? Because I didn't say anything. Not at first, I just blinked. Once. Twice. Like maybe the scene would reset, like maybe this was some kind of misunderstanding. But then I noticed something else. My window, upstairs, open, the light was on, and there was movement, a shadow passing by, inside my room. And I felt something shift in my chest. Not panic, not yet. Something colder. Who's in my room? I asked it quietly. Too quietly. My mom didn't answer. She just stood there, watching me. And that silence, that was the answer. I let out a slow breath, nodded once, like I understood, like this all made sense. Okay, that's what I said. Just that. Okay, and then I reached into my bag, and for the first time since I stepped out of the car, my mom moved. Fast, sharp, panicked. No, you can't. And just like that, everything changed. No, you can't. That was the first time her voice cracked. Not when she told me I didn't live there anymore. Not when I was standing in the yard, staring at my life like it was trash day. But now. Now she was panicking, and that, more than anything, made me pause. My hand stayed inside my bag, fingers brushing against the edge of what I'd been carrying around for days. I didn't pull it out yet. I just held it there, watching her, really watching her, because something wasn't adding up. Can't what? I asked, tilting my head slightly. She took a step forward this time, small but urgent. Her composure, the one she always wore like armor, was slipping. Just enough to notice if you knew her well. And I did. I mean, she started, then stopped, recalibrating. Lila, this doesn't have to turn into a scene. A scene? I glanced around. At the boxes. At my clothes in the dirt. At my neighbor's curtains shifting, just barely, like they were trying not to be obvious. You already made it one, I said. That landed. I saw it in the way her lips pressed together. Tighter now, controlled again. And but not fully. Behind her, the front door was still wide open. And that's when I noticed something else. Shoes, not ours. A pair of men's sneakers by the wall, clean, new, not my dad's. And next to them, smaller shoes. Worn, but not old. Definitely not mine. I felt it again. That cold shift in my chest. This wasn't just about me being kicked out. Someone else was already in. You didn't answer me, I said, my voice quieter now, but sharper. Who's in my room? She exhaled slowly, like she was deciding how much to say or how little. People, she said finally. People. Not a name. Not an explanation. Just people. I let out a small breath through my nose. Not quite a laugh. Not quite anger. Just disbelief trying to find somewhere to go. You moved people into my room, I repeated. It wasn't a question. She didn't correct me, didn't deny it. And that silence again? It said everything. I glanced past her shoulder, deeper into the house. The furniture in the living room looked different, slightly rearranged. Subtle, but enough that it didn't feel like mine anymore, like I had already been edited out. You said I could stay, I said. And this time, there was something there. Not anger, not even accusation, just fact. A memory spoken out loud. Because she had said that 3 months ago, when I showed up with my suitcase trying not to look as desperate as I felt. You can stay until you're stable. Her words. I remembered them clearly. Apparently, she didn't. Or worse, she did. That was before, she said. Before what? Before you decided I wasn't worth telling the truth? Before you replaced me? And I didn't say any of that out loud. Not yet. Instead, I pulled my hand out of my bag. Still holding nothing visible. Just enough movement to make her tense again. Her eyes dropped to my hand immediately. Watching. Calculating. Afraid. And that's when I knew for sure. Whatever she thought I had, she didn't want me using it. Interesting. Very interesting. I took one step closer. She didn't block me this time. Didn't reach out. Didn't stop me. Which told me something else. She wasn't sure she could. You should have told me, I said. Simple. Direct. And for a second, just a second, I saw something flicker across her face. Regret? No, not quite. More like concern, like she was realizing this wasn't going the way she expected. Behind her, a sound. Footsteps from upstairs. Slow, unfamiliar. And then, a voice. Not my dad's. Not anyone I knew. Diane? I lifted my gaze, right past her, into the house. Something inside me settled. Not calm, not peace, something sharper, more focused, because whatever this was, whatever she'd done, I wasn't guessing anymore. I was about to see it. Up close. And I had a feeling it was worse than I thought. Diane? That voice came from inside the house, and the second I heard it, something in me locked into place. Not because I recognized it, because I didn't. And when a stranger is comfortable enough to call your mother by her first name from inside your house, while your belongings are sitting in boxes on the lawn, that tells you everything you need to know. I looked past my mom's shoulder. The hallway light was on. The staircase was visible from where I stood. And at the top landing, just for a second, I caught movement again. Someone stepping back out of sight after realizing I was looking. My mother turned halfway, like she wanted to answer whoever had called her, but she didn't take her eyes off me. Lila, she said, lowering her voice. Please don't do this here. Do it here. Exist. Ask questions. React like a normal person after coming home to find out she'd been removed from her own life. I gave a small nod, almost like I was agreeing with her. Then I said, so where should I do it? because apparently not inside. That hit harder than I expected. Even she looked stung for half a second, but it passed quickly. With my mom, everything passed quickly if it threatened her sense of control. Here's the part that makes it worse. This wasn't completely out of nowhere. Not really. Not the boxes? Yes. The stranger in my room? Absolutely. But the feeling that something had been building? I'd had that for weeks. I'm Lila Moreno. I'm 22. I moved out at 19 because living under my mother's roof always came with invisible tripwires. She never screamed much. That would have been easier, honestly. Easier to point at, easier to explain. No, my mom specialized in something quieter. Rules that moved, expectations that changed, punishments that came wrapped in politeness. My dad, Carlos, 52, had his own talent, disappearing while standing right in front of you. He wasn't cruel. That would have required action. He was just absent in the most present possible way. He'd sit through tension like furniture, nod at whatever my mother said. Sigh later, privately, as if that counted as resistance. So when I left for college and then built a life in another city, I told myself I was done depending on them. And for a while, I was. Then life happened the way it does when it wants to humble you fast. I lost my marketing job 3 months earlier after layoffs hit the whole department. I tried to stretch my savings, picked up freelance work, skipped meals a few times, lied to friends, and said I was between things. But when my lease ended and I couldn't renew, I ran out of ways to pretend I was okay. That's when my parents said I could come back. Not forever, not comfortably, but they said it. You can stay until you're stable. Those exact words. And from the beginning, it felt temporary in a way that was hard to describe. My mom had rules immediately. Text if you're going to be late, don't leave dishes in the sink, and keep job search hours. Don't treat this like a hotel. Some of that was fair. Honestly, a lot of it was. I tried to follow everything. I kept my head down. I applied everywhere. I contributed what I could from my remaining savings. But then came the comments. How long do you think this will take? Have you considered cheaper areas? Do you have any friends you could stay with? Those questions started sounding less like concern and more like planning. A week ago, I came downstairs and found my mom measuring the upstairs hallway. She said she was just seeing something. I didn't push. Maybe I should have. Now, standing in the driveway with my life in cardboard, I realized every red flag had been pointing here, and then the front door opened wider. My father stepped into view. He took one look at me, one look at the boxes, and said the worst possible thing a person can say in a moment like that. Can we all just stay calm? I stared at him, then at her, and from upstairs I heard a door open, followed by footsteps coming down. Can we all just stay calm? That's what my dad said. And I remember thinking, calm? You ever notice how people only ask for calm when they've already done something irreversible? I didn't answer him. I didn't even look at him again, because the real answer was already coming down the stairs. Footsteps, slow, casual, like whoever it was had every right to be there. And then I saw them. First, the man, mid-40s maybe. Neutral expression, but his eyes were scanning the room like he was trying to understand if he'd just walked into something he wasn't supposed to see. Then a woman behind him, same age range, arms crossed. Oh, uneasy but observant. And then the girl, 16, maybe 17, wearing my hoodie, the one I left hanging on the back of my bedroom chair. She came down the last step, glanced at me, and smiled, polite, confused. Oh, are you the previous tenant? Previous, tenant, not daughter, not Lila, not person who still lives here. Something in my chest twisted, but not the way you'd expect. No explosion, no yelling, just a very quiet, very precise kind of disbelief. I looked at my mom, slowly. You told them that? I asked. She didn't answer, again, but she didn't need to, because the man stepped forward slightly, trying to smooth it over. We just signed yesterday, he said. Diane told us the room was ready. Ready. I let that word sit there for a second, then I nodded once. Of course it was. And it was ready because I wasn't supposed to be in it anymore. You rented out my room, I said. Still not a question. My mom finally stepped in, her voice controlled again. but tighter now. You were never supposed to stay this long. There it was. The rewrite, the quiet revision of reality. I almost admired how cleanly she said it. Like we hadn't had multiple conversations. Like she hadn't reassured me. Like she hadn't watched me apply for jobs at the kitchen table every morning. We needed the income, she added. Needed. Another careful word. Something justifiable. Something that made this sound less like a betrayal and more like a necessity. And maybe it was. But that didn't change how it was done. Behind her, my dad shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable now that there were witnesses. The couple exchanged a glance. The girl, still wearing my hoodie, looked between us, the confusion on her face deepening. This wasn't mentioned, the woman said quietly. Of course it wasn't. Because that would have complicated things. And my mom doesn't like complications. She likes outcomes. Clean ones. I let out a slow breath. Then, finally, I reached into my bag again. This time, I pulled something out. A folder. Plain, slightly bent at the edges. Nothing dramatic. But the second my mom saw it, her expression changed. Not completely, but enough. Enough for me to know I was right. You shouldn't have done this without telling me, I said. And for the first time since this started, I wasn't reacting. I was leading. The man frowned slightly. Done what? I didn't take my eyes off my mom. Because this part? And this wasn't for them? Not yet. This was for her. For weeks, I continued, calm, measured. I had a feeling something was off. My fingers tapped lightly against the edge of the folder. You started asking questions, specific ones, about how long I'd stay, where else I could go. My mom didn't interrupt, didn't deny it. You measured the hallway, I added. That one landed. I saw it. Just a flicker, but it was there. Recognition, because she remembered that moment too. And then, I said, lifting the folder slightly, I found something. Now the room shifted. The couple leaned in, just slightly. My dad looked confused. My mom? She looked concerned. Actually concerned. And that? That was new. I opened the folder halfway, but didn't show it yet. Not to them. Not fully. Listings, I said. Yeah, photos. Descriptions. I tilted my head. Of my room. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Unavoidable. You put it online, I said. Still calm. Still controlled. You advertised it as available. The man's expression changed immediately. The woman's arms dropped from their crossed position. And the girl? She slowly reached up and looked down at the hoodie she was wearing, like she suddenly understood. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because this wasn't just about a listing. This wasn't just about a room. I looked directly at my mom. And this time, I let the next part land. You did it while I was still living here. And then, I opened the folder all the way. You did it while I was still living here. And when I opened the folder, everything changed. Papers, printed emails, screenshots, dates, not messy. Not random. Organized, intentional, prepared. You could feel the shift in the room instantly. The kind of silence that isn't empty. It's loaded. Everyone recalculating at the same time. My mom's eyes dropped to the folder, then snapped back up to me. Lila, she started. But this time, I didn't let her control the pace. For weeks, I said, flipping to the first page, you had this listed. I held it out, not to her, to them, the couple, because they deserved to see exactly what they had walked into. The man hesitated before stepping forward, but he took it. Read. His expression tightened line by line. This says immediate occupancy, he muttered. Yeah, I said. I flipped to another page. Here's the posting date, then another. And here's the day you told me, don't worry. You live here now. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Because now it wasn't just my word against hers. It was documented. My dad stepped closer, peering over the man's shoulder, clearly trying to catch up. Diane? He said, uncertain. But she didn't look at him. She was looking at me. And for the first time, she didn't look in control. They needed confirmation, my mom said quickly, shifting gears. I had to list it early. While I was still in it, I cut in. Her jaw tightened. No answer. I reached into the folder again. One more thing. This time I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, tapped once, a recording. Her voice filled the room. Clear, undeniable. You live here now, don't worry. The exact words, the exact tone, from just days ago. No context to twist, no way to reinterpret it. And the silence that followed? Heavier than anything before. The woman took a slow step back. This wasn't disclosed, she said, her voice firm now. The man handed the papers back like they were suddenly something dangerous. You told us the space was vacant. My mom stepped forward, trying to recover ground that wasn't there anymore. It is vacant now, she said. Now, that word hung there, ugly, transparent, because everyone understood what it meant. Vacant because she made it vacant, suddenly, without warning, without consent. That's not how this works, the man said, shaking his head. My dad ran a hand over his face, the reality finally catching up to him. What did you do? He murmured. Not to me, to her. And just like that, the dynamic shifted. Completely. I wasn't the problem anymore. I wasn't the inconvenience. I wasn't the one who had to explain anything. They were. All eyes moved back to my mom, waiting, expecting. And she felt it. I could see it in the way her posture changed. Less rigid, less certain. This doesn't have to become something bigger, she said, her voice lower now. Controlled, but barely. That was almost funny, because it already was. Too late, I said quietly. Then I lifted my phone again. And this time, I didn't hesitate. I started dialing. My mom stepped forward instantly. Wait, let's talk about this. Not calm anymore. Not controlled, urgent, sharp, real. But I didn't stop. Because now, for the first time since I pulled into that driveway, I wasn't the one reacting. I was the one deciding what happened next. And she knew it. Wait, let's talk about this. That's what my mom said. But here's the thing about let's talk. It usually comes after someone realizes they've already lost control of the situation, not before. Too late for that. My thumb hovered over the call button for half a second. Then I pressed it. Speaker on. I didn't look at her. I didn't look at anyone. I just listened as the line rang. Once, twice. Then, Tenant Support Services, how can I help you? My mom inhaled sharply beside me. Hi, I said steady. I need to report a situation involving unlawful eviction and possible rental misrepresentation. The words sounded strange coming out of my mouth. Too official. Too serious. But they landed exactly how they needed to. The couple stiffened immediately. The man muttered, Yeah, we're not staying for this, under his breath. Good. Because now, this wasn't just a family issue. This was something else entirely. I gave the operator the address, a brief explanation, just enough. They told me what I already suspected. Someone would follow up, and if needed, this could escalate legally depending on local statutes and tenant classification. That was enough. I hung up. Silence. No one moved for a second, then everything happened at once. This is ridiculous, my mom snapped, but there was no weight behind it anymore. No authority, just reaction. The woman turned to her. No, what's ridiculous is that you rented us a space that wasn't actually available. We can't stay here, the man added. This is a liability. The girl, still in my hoodie, quietly slipped it off and folded it. I placing it on the stair railing like she suddenly understood it never belonged to her. That small movement, that hit harder than everything else because it made the whole situation real in a way nothing else had. My dad stepped in, finally trying to take control of something. Anything. Let's just calm down and figure this out. No, the man cut him off. We're done. Just like that, decision made. They started gathering their things immediately. Quick, efficient, done with this energy. Within minutes, the house that had been so quickly handed over started emptying again. My mom stood there, watching it happen, like she couldn't quite process how fast everything had unraveled. You're overreacting, she said to me, but softer now, less certain. I looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small standing there. You didn't tell me, I said. That was it. No yelling, no dramatic speech, just the truth. Simple, clean, final. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. She opened her mouth, closed it, because there wasn't a version of this where she came out right. Not anymore. My dad exhaled heavily, sitting down like the weight of everything had finally landed on him. I told you we should have just talked to her, he muttered. There it was. Confirmation. He knew, not everything maybe, but enough. And he still said nothing. That settled something in me. Not anger. Something colder, clearer. I'm not staying here, I said. That got their attention immediately. You can't just, my mom started. I can, I cut in. Right, and I am. Because here's the truth, no one says out loud. It stops being your home the moment you're no longer treated like you belong in it. And that had already happened. The boxes outside? That was just the physical version of a decision she'd already made. Over the next few days, everything unfolded exactly how you'd expect, and somehow worse. The couple demanded their deposit back, threatened legal action if they didn't get it. They got it. My parents didn't have the money to lose, but they lost it anyway, because they had no choice. Word spread quietly, the way things do in neighborhoods like ours. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. Conversations behind fences, glances that lasted a second too long. My mom hated that part the most. Not the legal risk, not the financial strain, the perception. As for me, I stayed with a friend for a week, then another. Then I found a short-term rental, small, overpriced, barely furnished. But it was mine. Every inch of it. No conditions. No sudden decisions waiting around the corner. I picked up more freelance work, not glamorous, not stable, but enough. Enough to keep moving forward. My dad texted me a few times, short messages. Are you okay? Let me know if you need anything. I didn't respond. Not right away, not because I couldn't, because I didn't know what I'd say. My mom didn't text at all, not once. Which, honestly, felt more consistent. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, I found myself driving past the house again. I didn't plan to. I just ended up there. The lawn was clear. No boxes, no signs of renters, curtains drawn, still, quiet. Like nothing had happened. But I knew better. Because things like that don't just reset. They shift. Permanently. I slowed down for a second. Just a second. Looked at the window. My old room. Closed now. Empty. Or maybe not. Didn't matter. Because whatever it wasn't mine anymore. And the strange part? That didn't hurt the way I thought it would. Not like before. Because now it made sense. I didn't lose my home that day. I realized I hadn't had it for a while. I pressed the gas, kept driving, didn't look back again. That wasn't my home anymore. I just didn't know it yet.